treated you
Are you at least singing Michael Jackson
bad. It was literally in the movie.
What song was that?
Oh, Jesus.
What song was that?
The one that he was singing in the studio.
He sang a lot in the studio.
I know.
Hello, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about a movie Yara and I just went and saw called Michael. It's about Michael Jackson. Just came out this week, but pretty good movie, doing well in the box office so far. Made just over 200 million worldwide.
So far,
yeah, and it's not even been out a full week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but it's a pretty cool movie. It does have some family involvement as well. His nephew plays Michael Jackson, so that's cool.
Yeah, and it appears that most of the siblings except Janet were like executive producers or some kind of way involved, and then Prince was also involved. Not Prince the singer, Prince the son.
I was gonna say because they made a reference.
Yeah,
to
they
Prince
do make
the singer,
a reference
so.
to Prince in the movie, which I actually thought was actually kind of catchy and funny. But yeah, so his son's involved, brothers are involved, LaToya, but not Janet, which I thought was kind of interesting. I think there's been some talk and such online that Paris, his daughter, she gave notes on the script that weren't adhered to, so she backed out of having any involvement, and then it appears Janet has backed out of having any involvement. Not sure why, but it does kind of read a little weird in the movie if you know anything about the family. It's just like you've got the Jackson 5 and then LaToya. And in reality, that is not true. There's, other siblings. So I just thought it was interesting how that kind of played out in the movie. If you didn't know anything about the Jackson family, you would assume that Janet isn't related to them based on this movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's... But like overall, it's a really good movie. Like if we compare it to some of the other movies about singers and groups that have come out over the last few years, I'm thinking Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man. This one is a little bit more on par with Rocket Man, with kind of a Bohemian Rhapsody ending, where like in Bohemian Rhapsody they end at the big concert. And so this one ends at his world tour in 1988. It starts in the 60s when they're still in Gary, just trying to break out as the Jackson 5. And then moves over those 20 years, 25-ish years. And so it was very, it was just another angle. I know that there is another movie about Michael Jackson out. But like this just felt more like Rocket Man, which I love Rocket Man, even though it's more musical. This one felt like a biopic with music. And whereas Bohemian Rhapsody was like random clips of music, this one also had a lot of like almost full songs in it, which I thought was really impressive. Because, in a 2-hour movie, that's really hard to get those things in there sometimes, and you feel like things are getting cut. But the cuts didn't feel weird when songs ended. They were almost very intentional, so I really liked that aspect of it. Also, shout out to the rest of the cast. Obviously his nephew playing him, Jafar, really great job. Coleman Domingo, Nia Long, both did amazing jobs. I like Coleman Domingo, but I feel like a lot of times he's playing the same character over and over again, which really just kind of makes me feel like it's just Coleman as Coleman playing Coleman. And that's, I don't think ever really his intention, but in this movie, I felt like he was actually able to dive into a character where I forgot that it was Coleman Domingo playing. And so like, I just really felt like he was in his bag in this, and that was really awesome. And also shout out to the makeup artist and the costume department. Phenomenal job. Just the transition that Michael Jackson went through in his career with like the various nose jobs and things like that, and the work that the makeup department would have to do to make Jafar look like Michael, even though he kind of already looks like Michael. Just like those small tweaks were just really awesome. And then, of course, for the other characters and actors to age them through time, just was really, really awesome. And like they need raises something, because they did a phenomenal job with the makeup, the costumes, the hair, wigs, whatever. It was really good, because there was like also, it was driving me nuts. There's a scene in the movie, spoiler alert, where Michael is talking to one of the reps at CBS and trying to get his music onto MTV, and the guy playing that rep, I was like, where have I seen this guy? But like the makeup was so well done, I didn't know who it was until the credits, and it was like Michael Myers. I was like, oh. Like I would not have gotten to Michael Myers. Like I was like somewhere else, and it was driving me nuts that I couldn't tell who it was. But I mean, again, that speaks to the makeup and costume department. Like phenomenal job. Like you could hide an actor like that. That was really, really well done. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie as well. I went into this not knowing a ton about Michael's history. I mean, of course, I knew he was in the Jackson 5, and I knew him for his music. But a lot of the later, like, well, his singles, you know, his songs, rather than the Jackson 5 music. But yeah, I thought they all did a really good job with it. I really didn't like his dad, so I mean, he did a good job acting, because I really disliked him. Very much felt like an abusive, manipulating type relationship with Michael,
which it was.
Yeah. I mean, he was beating him with a belt in the movie, and I'm sure he did worse that they didn't necessarily film. I mean, it was just not a good situation for Michael, or really anyone in the family. But it felt like Michael got the brunt of it. I don't know if it felt that way just because Michael's the star, and I mean, he ended up being the star really, long term anyways. But I don't know. I just I thought they did a good job with it. The only real complaint I had was the animals, either the CGI or the AI or whatever they used to make the animals, because they were not real animals. It was very obvious that they were not real animals. That was annoying to me. I felt like they could have at least made it look more realistic or do a better job with the animals. But, you know, out of the whole movie, you know, obviously Michael Jackson and his family was the main reason to go, and then obviously the music as well. So like in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was enough to aggravate me when the animals were on the screen.
Yeah, it just felt like they just like threw it in last minute a little bit, even though like it was clearly a major part of the story. Like it actually caused me to like reevaluate a little bit like other things that I've seen of Michael Jackson. Like I'm thinking like the This Is It concert movie, and you know, interviews and things like that. Like this movie like really made me sit there and go, was Michael Jackson like neurodivergent? Like because they talked about the fact that like he was just different. He was constantly moving, which we know in general Black boys tend to move a lot more than others. But
we didn't know that.
Well, okay, you didn't know that, but the teacher knows that in general, Black boys they need more activity. But it was not just like a little bit of ADHD or ADD. It was something deeper. And they really kind of highlighted that, especially like when he's getting all these animals that like everybody's like, it's just a pet. And he's like, no, it's my friend. You know, they had Ben the rat. I don't remember what the snake's name was. But, you know, like having all these different animals that he calls his friends versus like having real friends that are of his age. And then,
well, but part of it too, at least in the movie, they addressed it where, you know, his mother said, I'd like for you to meet people your age and be friends with them. And he said, they don't look at me that like a normal person.
Yeah.
You know, they want pictures with him, they want autographs. You know, it's not they
Yeah.
stare at him.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there is definitely the punishment of fame. You
Yeah.
know, just like not wanting to be famous because, especially as a kid, because you lose out on genuine friendship.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just like some of his other kind of quirks and ticks and things, I was like, I think he was neurodivergent in some ways, which is actually cool. You know, like just it was just very interesting to kind of give a different perspective to it, I think. But, you know, also at the same time, just sad because going through that time period being different was so wrong. You know, and the struggles that he had to go through just because he wanted something a little different. But I think, like, the big thing that, like, I really took away from this movie is just all the hard work that he put in to get to where he was. And to be prepared, but then also to start to see the tipping point where things are just going to go downhill. Just stunk. And it was really interesting where the movie ended. So like I said, it ended at the end of the concert, 1988, but then it said, like, the screen goes black and then it goes, his story continues. I'm like, is there going to be a part 2? So I've seen online that there are rumors that there is going to be a part 2. So I'll be curious to see what happens with part 2, and see if they're going to take it up to his death, or just, you know, the next kind of wave of Michael. 'Cause like, what, 1988, I don't remember which album was out. I think Beat It's out by that point. Thriller's out. I don't remember which album it's on, but
Well, Beat It and Thriller were in the movies.
well, yeah. But I can't remember if the next album was out or not. But either way, like it ended perfectly. Like, you could leave the movies and be perfectly happy with it, but at the same time, because of that black screen saying his story continues, I'm like, okay, and so then it felt like a cliffhanger at the same time.
I would probably enjoy a part 2 to see the second half of his life, basically. It is unfortunate though, because we know the ending, like he dies, right? So, like, I mean, of course everybody dies, but he died younger than a lot of people, and so that's an unfortunate part. But yeah, I did feel like the ending was okay. I also, a lot of times in longer movies, it wasn't really that long a movie. I guess it was 2 hours. And so a lot of times movies, like, I'll sometimes get antsy and like want it to wrap up. I didn't feel that way with this movie.
Agree.
I felt like the pacing was good and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, really, the only complaint I had was the animals. And that is really the only negative I had about the movie.
I did look up one more thing because, like, it was bothering me. So, like, in the movie, he keeps talking about Peter Pan and kind of feeling like he's Peter Pan and wanting to get.
Was he a Disney fan?
Yeah.
I mean, by some of the stuff they used.
Yeah, and then, like, wanting to get to Neverland, which we know that is the house that he eventually bought. So I looked up when he bought the house, and he bought it in 1988. So if that's the case, I feel like if they continue and do a second movie, it's going to start with him buying Neverland. And
why is it called Neverland?
Because that's where he always wanted to be. So he just named the ranch Neverland.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see. So he didn't buy it and it was named that already.
No, he named it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But, you know, like, I would just really be curious kind of to see where this goes. But, like we said, you know, really great movie, very little complaints, which is pretty rare for us.
Yeah, we usually complain.
Yeah. And like, no notes. Like, I can't even pick apart the dancing. I can't even pick apart, like, any of it. Like, none, like, really nothing bad about this movie. It's a really great movie. Highly suggest people go see it. If you're a Michael fan, go see it. If you're not a Michael fan, go see it. Just really, really great.
Yeah, I think it's worth seeing, because I'm also, like, I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan. Like, even just with what I've been saying about the movie, like, I didn't know a lot about his family or about his upbringing. I knew about the Jackson 5, and yeah, obviously I know Michael Jackson and I know his music, but I really only started listening to him more after he died. Was when I heard more of his music. But there was also part of that was just by design, but it wasn't like just because like when he died, I felt like his music just everybody started playing it.
Yeah.
Like there was a museum that I used to work at, and they were like Halloween. They were playing Thriller like every 2 songs. It was Thriller, and so like it was the year he died. I mean, it kind of like everybody just started playing his music.
Well, and Thriller is really important to me because that was our senior dance scene for a senior show, and I graduated the year he died. So like it just that is like really important to me. That short film. I was okay. So like in the movie they were talking about like he's like I want to make short films for my music and all that stuff. I was like, where was Smooth Criminal? But I feel like it's the next album. So like I was just like, okay, so we got Thriller, we got Beat It. Where's Smooth Criminal? Because that's my favorite. But I'm a big Thriller fan as well. Like and I just really. I think I also love.
You know the Thriller dance too.
I do, yeah. I also loved in the movie that they talked about the short films and looked at it more of the behind the scenes of making the short films versus showing the short films, which I think would have been cool too. But I thought it was kind of cool to go through like how his brain worked with choreography and how his brain worked with setting things up. Just, kind of really smooth, like from a performance perspective, I really enjoyed that piece. But yeah.
This is something interesting I'll share with the class. So it's something that I was wondering, and I asked Yara initially, and she didn't know. And this is according to AI, so it could be inaccurate. But I was wondering who actually sings.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is it actually Michael Jackson's voice, or is it Jafar singing? It says it's a mix. There's blended with the original vocals of Michael Jackson's for most musical numbers. But Jafar did sing some as well, including a cappella.
Yeah. I also feel like... and that was like another piece in the movie that I also really enjoyed. Again, behind the scenes kind of style of how he got to where he was for music. Every time he's in the recording studio, there's basically no backing tracks. It's just either Little Michael, I don't remember what that kid's name is, or Jafar singing just a cappella without the backing track, which I thought was kind of a smart, cool move because I feel like we all know the songs.
Yeah.
But just to have them, just that shot of Michael in the studio with nothing behind him is actually a really smart way to film that.
Yeah. Also, reading a little bit more, I mean, do your own research as well, because AI is not always trustworthy. But it does sound like Jafar sang some, but it sounds like probably the majority of like the full length songs was actually Michael Jackson's.
Yeah.
Which is why it sounds exactly like Michael Jackson, because in most cases it seems like it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really opposed to. I don't really have feelings one way or the other. Like if Jafar can imitate Michael Jackson's voice to perfection, then sure he can sing all the songs. But like if he can't, if it doesn't sound like Michael Jackson, then I would rather just use Michael Jackson's voice anyways.
Yeah.
So,
and with the way the technology is today, that
you can mix it.
Yeah, you can mix so easily. Like and I mean, I could tell a little bit when it got a mix or a blend. Especially with the kid, because you could tell he was lip syncing.
Sure.
But like with Jafar, I couldn't tell as easily. But I mean, I still felt like, it definitely felt like you were at the concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. At one song you clapped, which you are not the type of person to clap on airplane rides or stuff like that. So like it was interesting that you were clapping as if you were at a concert.
Yeah. Like it just ended so well. It was just like, yay.
Yeah. But yeah, overall I would say maybe a 9 out of 10 for me. I mean it was really good. It was definitely worth seeing. I don't see a lot of movies these days anyways.
Not new movies.
Or usually I watch them late, like years after they've been out.
Yeah.
We don't go to the theaters a lot. I'm not sure of the last movie I saw unless it was Jurassic Park.
Wicked came out.
Oh, Wicked.
After that,
Yeah, we saw Wicked. Yeah. So probably Wicked 2 was the last one we saw. But yeah, definitely worth seeing. I would spend your money and go see it. At the very least, when a streaming site picks it up, if you have the streaming site, 100% it's worth watching. Though it might even play better in a movie theater.
Yeah, it's definitely one that, like, I've gotten a little picky about, like, what I see in the movie theaters, but this was one I wanted to see in the theaters because I wanted that, like, theater experience with it. And I'm cool with it. Like, I would truthfully go see it a second time in the theaters. And maybe a third, but yeah, like, it's, I don't know, like, I've been, like, trying to rate it in my head, and I don't know, like, I want to give it a 10 out of 10.
The animals in me bring it down.
Yeah,
the
animals definitely are kind of a downer, but it didn't bother me as much. So, like, I feel like I'm gonna go with 10 out of 10.
Yeah, and so the thing with the animals, I told Yara in the car, like the old Air Bud films that you watched when you were a kid. One, I think the majority of the scenes was a real dog.
Or Homeward Bound.
Or Homeward Bound, yeah. And there's just so many animal movies that used real animals, or at the very least were super realistic that it looked like an actual animal. But I think since they're old enough, I think for the most part they were actual real animals. Mm-hmm. And I'm not like, animals' rights, like they need to be able to act. Like, it's not that. I just think it's way more realistic to have the real thing rather than fake. Another thing I just want to say about this movie, I appreciate that they used real people to portray people. For example, Michael Jackson, portrayed by his nephew. There's a movie coming out, I don't remember the name of it, but the main actor is James Dean.
Yeah.
He's passed away, and they're using an AI version of him to play him. And I don't think it's great for other actors. It takes away opportunities from them. But even that, I'm not going to go see it. I had no interest I have no interest in seeing this movie really anyways, but definitely not if it's just AI. Even if they do a good job with it, I don't have any interest in seeing that. Like, I like supporting actors in the roles and seeing them portray things rather than computer generated.
Yeah,
stuff.
And it's also disrespectful to the memory of the person, because then that also takes away from if their family has, legal rights to things. You're literally taking a human away from somebody, taking money from people, and that's just not fair.
Somebody in his family did agree to it. I don't remember. Is his wife alive? Is that who it was, or was
I don't remember.
A child, or maybe something?
I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, somebody agreed to that, to allowing this to happen, but I still don't support it. And
as we know, SAG-AFTRA and all those actor organizations are very against this as well. So
yeah, I think with good reason. But also just, I don't know, like, I like art and creativity and stuff, but to me you have to involve humans. You could argue the human like writes the AI to make this, but it doesn't sit well with me, and I won't support it. I'm cool with like cartoons, like visuals, but I still would like a voice actor behind the cartoon. So, but yeah, I just want to add that at the end. But this movie, great.
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. Ice Goddess, or my wife Yara, she does book reviews, so I'll leave her YouTube channel down below if you have any interest in book reviews. And then, of course, subscribe to my channel if you have any interest. I do a lot of reaction videos and some gaming and just variety. So, but appreciate you guys watching this. Let us know if you saw the movie. Let us know any comments you have about the movie, what you thought of the movie, and leave a like. And you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.